this is Mr. Laraway, and we're here at the Blenheim Bridge. And the Blenheim Bridge is located on Route 30. A very busy Route 30, right above Blenheim, New York. The Blenheim Bridge is very significant for local history, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it today. Located on Route 30 just above Blenheim, many of you may have driven by this bridge, and many of you may not even realize the historical significance of this bridge. This bridge was built in 1855 to span the Schoharie Creek. The Blenheim Bridge is probably the most well-known bridge in New York as far as covered bridges go. This bridge is the longest single-span covered bridge in the world. The old Blenheim Bridge is famous for its magnificent 228-foot length and its unusual building methods for construction. And I focused in on the marker earlier, and you can see it in the distance. This is the bridge that was built in 1931, which I'll tell you a little bit more about. And we're going to go in and we're going to get a closer look. If I can get the camera out. Okay, I'm back, and we're by the entrance of the bridge. Much of my research on this bridge that I'm going to tell you about today is from a book entitled Blenheim History, 1710 to 1991. And this was written by Cornell, and it's compiled of a variety of different information. I'll be sharing this more with you in class. The builder of this bridge was a man by the name of Nicholas Montgomery Powers. And Powers was a native of Vermont, and he built this structure primarily of Virginia pine. The central Bure arch is a solid oak, and upon completion of the bridge, Mr. Powers reportedly sat down in the middle of the span and declared that he did not want to see a dawn of another day if the bridge ever went down. Nicholas M. Powers was born on August 30th, 1817, in Pittsford, Vermont. He died January 17th, 1897, in Clarendon, Vermont, at the age of 80. He was the son of Richard Montgomery Powers and Polly Carpenter Powers, and he was the 11th of 13 children. He built his first bridge by the age of 21, and for the next 40 years, Mr. Powers was seldom out of sight of a river that needed to be crossed. He built at least 19 bridges, mostly for Vermont railroads, but he also did other engineering and built other structures. Mr. Powers was a dairy farmer by trade, and he also had a cheese factory. And when he was away building things, he hired help to take care of his farm. Mr. Powers was paid $7 a day for his construction on this bridge, for a total of about $2,000. His workers were paid about $1 a day. The total cost of building this bridge was $6,000. One of the many other jobs that he did was he moved a 20-ton tower that people said couldn't be moved. The old Blenheim Bridge is the only existing double-barreled span bridge with a long truss, and we'll get more into that. The floorboards, much of which are original, consist of 6-foot planks, and you can tell that they're original because the wear of many years have shown on their raised grain. The entrance to the bridge, we have various honors that were given to the bridge. The first marker here is a National Historic Civil Engineering Landmark for the Blenheim Bridge. On July 8, 1931, the Schoharie County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to retain this bridge as a public historic relic. In 1964, the bridge became a National Historic Landmark. And this is the marker designating this bridge. It says, under the provisions of the Historic Site Act of August 21st, 1935, this site possesses exceptional value in commemorating and illustrating the history of the United States. And it's designated by the U.S. Department of the Interior National Park Service. And that was done in 1964. Interesting fact here that this is one of, at the time, and it may still be, 452 national historical sites of United States importance. There are a lot of numerous other merits, but I think that the reason that this bridge is so important is because it represents a simpler time. Every day people visit this longest known single-span covered wooden bridge in the world. This is the only one of its type, and it's a single central arch. As of 1974, this was one of the 8 remaining double tunnel bridges to exist in the United States. For almost 150 years, this bridge has been linked with the past, and it's been linked with the present, and has been an important part of local Schoharie County life. This marker is a plaque dedicated to Nicholas Montgomery Powers. It says, erected 1854 to 1855 by Nicholas Montgomery Powers. He's a famous bridge builder. He was born in Pittsford, Vermont, August 30th, 1817, died in Clarendon, Vermont in 1897. This bridge is 232 feet in length. Now we've got some different measurements here, depending on where the measurement was taken. It's the longest, the fact remains, it's the longest single-span covered bridge in the world. And it was built by the Blenheim Bridge Company and was used as a toll bridge for many years. It's not far from this bridge, the Tory, William Burecraft, was whipped to death by infuriated neighbors after the Revolution, and he was buried in the spot where he fell. This bridge is now under the custody of Schoharie County, the state of New York, and the federal government. As it says on the plaque, this was once a major toll crossing. The old Blenheim Bridge served as part of an important stagecoach thoroughfare, and in 1931 the local citizens around these parts fought to save the bridge from destruction when it was bypassed with the construction of the new bridge on the state highway made out of steel. The main center arch of this bridge, in which the bridge relies on for its strength, stretches in a 3-rib segment from the abutments on the bottom clear up to the ridgepole of the bridge, ridgepole being the center support that goes up along the top. The bridge has 3 trusses, the larger, higher one enclosing the arch in the center, and 2 side trusses, 27 feet apart. The ridgepole of the Blenheim Bridge is 232 feet long. The truss is 228 feet, and the clear space from the river face of one abutment to the other is 210 feet. This bridge is 2 foot longer than its nearest rival, the single-span covered bridge in Bridgeport, California. Mr. Powers built this bridge pretty well, and when the Schoharie Creek floods, the water often hits the bottom of this bridge. Sometimes trees or pieces of wood going downstream strikes this bridge. Covered bridges began to vanish when builders started using more durable materials like steel and concrete, as shown in the back. Ironically, durability is the one reason why many covered bridges have survived. These structures were overbuilt, with the engineers thinking that the greater the strength, the better the bridge. As you can see from this shot, the roof on this bridge is still in pretty good shape. All bridges made of timber in the 1800s needed covers over the bridges to protect the bridges from the elements. In our climate, wooden bridges don't last long unless they're covered to protect them. This bridge wasn't built over the stream as most people imagine. It was constructed piece by piece in the back of the village over here in Blenheim. Then the bridge was taken apart and moved in over temporary scaffolding, known as bents, in the river. One young man, called a climber because he worked so high on the bridge, was killed when a log fell. Once the bridge was completed, the scaffolding was gradually taken down. In typical slaughter fashion, skeptical townspeople called the bridge Power's Folly and gathered to watch it collapse when the last of the supports were removed. Mr. Powers disagreed and said that as the last of the supports were removed, he climbed to the ridge pole of the bridge and proclaimed, "If she goes, I'll go with her." The bridge creaked a little bit and settled, just fractions of an inch, and Mr. Powers was left smiling on top. Built in 1855 as a toll bridge, foot traffic was charged 1 cent, and teams were charged 12 cents. Gatekeepers stayed in a small barn by the end of the bridge and kept snow on the bridges for sleighs in the winter and kept track of the traffic. After the Blenheim Bridge Company disbanded, the span was passed to several private owners until the state eventually took ownership in 1891.